Alright, and we are back with Game 2, or perhaps I should say I am back, as this is a solo cast. Apologies for that, but it's better to get the content out there with just me than it is to not get it at all, I suppose, is the way to look at it. And I have a lot of people who co-cast with me, but they're being bitches right now, so good stuff. Anyway, Team Zenzyg taking Game 1 in pretty demanding and dominant fashion, as they basically rolled over TZP. They said, we're going to win all of our lanes, and then we're going to win the game. And there's pretty much nothing you can do about it at this point, because you had a bit of an iffy draft, but I really think the Zenzyg draft was worse, but they just executed. And TZP did not. They lost a couple of lanes they probably shouldn't have, including that Pyromancer Pebbles mid and the Chipper versus Magmus bot. Likely situations where they should have emerged victorious, and instead they failed pretty horribly. And if you're going to do that, you're going to lose games. That's my expert analysis, fellows. And that's why I need a co-caster most of the time. Or pretty much all the time, I should always get one. Ophelia and Swiftblade going to be banned out by Wazo. Cthulhuphant and Tempest going to be taken out by YOLO Train. And as usual, the typical Swiftblade and Cthulhuphant not available. That's going to lead into a first pick Parasite, as he's the only common jungler left on the board. Hellborn going to counter with Magmus, then into Kraken, Pharaoh, Torture, and Puppet Master. Go the picks. And then first ban Pyromancer from Zenzyg. So at this point, once again, a lot of gank potential on the Legion side. Much more mid-game than late-game oriented, it seems. Hellborn also going for a lot of gank potential, so I say that a lot. Heroes of the North is currently a very gank-oriented game. There isn't too much in the way of everybody build push lineups and we're going to push people down. We still see that. It's just not as common in terms of the top hero picks. You can even see it in the carries with heroes like Puppet Master or Dr. Repulsor or... See, now I've said the two, and I can't think of anybody else. It's fine. Monkey King. We see Monkey King occasionally, very gank-oriented carry. But the point being, there are plenty of heroes at this point that do a fairly large amount of damage relatively early on, and are aimed at killing other heroes. And I believe that's the way that S2 has intentionally designed this game, is that they want to have a lot of snowball potential in the early game. They want action to happen, and that's definitely the case. I mean, HoN, very action-oriented game, very snowball-y game, and so you often see teams pick heroes that complement that strategy. Heroes like Parasite, like Kraken, like Magmus, and Pharaoh, and Puppet Master. Hey, it's five of the six heroes in this game. I swear to God, I can count. So both drafts looking pretty solid so far, in my opinion. Lots of initiation potential on both sides, and some pretty good team fight, but again, mostly oriented toward that ganking ability. And once again, very dependent on who's going to win these lanes. Wouldn't be... Okay, BH, Clank, Stampere, TDL, Valk, MQ, still SB, the others SB, Solstice. Puppeteer, Hag, GK, Chipper, Malik, and Selfars. He's just listing... Stu's just listing carries. There's no... Like, Dampier, gank-oriented carry. TDL, not really. Valk, gank-oriented carry. Moon Queen, not really. Those are... I don't see those. Okay, fine. Let's not talk to Stu, because he's not casting, so screw him. He wants to go crazy in Twitch chat, that's his prerogative. Second stage bans, Pyromancer, Solstice, Legionnaire being taken out by Wazo, so some interesting bans there, aimed at preventing the Hellborn team from running a jungler at all, and obviously removing the Pyromancer option, as the Hellborn really haven't picked up a support yet, and presumably we'll be looking for two support options. They do have Empath and Glacius still on the board though, so I'm really not concerned about their support options. Rhapsody's still available, Witchslayer's still available, Nymph4 still available, Engineer available. They have a lot of support potential that is still here. So, really, did you do the greatest job of banning supports? No, I guess you took most of the junglers out, but you still have to keep the forest. Passive jungler, sure, but hey, it's what you got. It is not what you got, actually. What you got plays for Nullstone. Moon Queen does not gank with her ult. Excuse me, but Moon Queen does not gank with her ult. I'm sorry. It's not what Moon Queen... Moon Queen farms and then takes team fights with her ultimate. It's different. Geomancer going to be the 4th pick here for the Legion side, countered by an Aluna. I hate that. I love the Geomancer. Strong suicide hero, Earth's Grasp, very, very difficult to deal with. And we'll see how well he does this game. But it's a hero I actually like quite a lot. Aluna, good laner, and that's about it. And the problem is there are other supports that are also good laners and then do more for you later on. Moon Queen sucks at carrying at the minute. I don't know what game you're playing, Stu, but it's not this one. Alright, that's it. I'm done listening to him. I'm just going to go ahead and put OBS over Twitch chat. I can't even see it anymore. Pebble was the last selection on the Legion side, and once again, man, they really are into this whole let's get some early kills and snowball type thing. That seems to be Zenzyg's modus operandi, even when they go for heroes like Puppet and Doctor. They're very, very active, and this is going to complement their playstyle even more than the last game, I think. The problem that they could run into is the same one that TZP had last game, is they don't really have too much carry potential. The other issue I have with them is they've got a 4 melee core lineup. I'm just not a fan of putting no ranged heroes into something. I see a lot of teams tripping over themselves when it comes to trying to get everybody in the right position in a team fight. They're going to have some advantages because they're presumably going to be looking at least 3 portal keys in this Legion side in the hands of Pebbles, Geomancer, and Kraken. So that's going to help a lot with their positioning, their initiation, and their presence in team fights. But still perhaps an issue, their lack of carry potential, and if they can do well in the early game, then that's fantastic. But you look at, again, TZP's side, very similar to what Zenzyg did last game. They have a late game oriented lineup a little bit with both Blood Hunter and Puppet Master, but they've also got some mid game and early game gank. They've got strong laning heroes like Pharaoh and Magmus and Luna and Blood Hunter. Puppet Master could even be added to that list. Their entire team quite good in laning phase. But they also are looking like a team that can take it in the mid game and take it late. And now to DND that. So we'll see how things go here for both sides, and I think this could possibly be yet another game that ends up being determined by the laning phase. I mean, both sides with good laning heroes and both sides with relatively mid-game oriented lineups. The hardest carry in this game is Puppet Master. And Puppet Master is a decent carry, but he's the type that's like, I'm only going to really, really carry if I get 500 plus GPM. And there are many heroes that are like, I'll do that if I get 500 plus GPM, but it's easier for them to do it, and they don't necessarily require it. So not necessarily a ton of late game on both sides, which does benefit the Hellborn team because they have softer late game, so they still have the late game advantage without having to pick really, really late game oriented heroes. And that's a nice added bonus to a draft. The other thing is, Count Crapula's on the Puppet, and it's going to be Gnalim next. Okay, so that's going to be a support Magmus is the situation here, yeah. And you look at the items, that makes sense. Obviously Puppet getting a little bit of regen, but mostly stats and some armor. Magmus and Aluna much more focused on the regen, and this is going to be an aggressive tri-lane up against a solo Kraken, so I don't know if Zenzyg called this, but the tri-lane was definitely a possibility. When you look at the lineup, it's not super difficult to realize that they could be running a tri-lane. They will also be blocking out this hard camp for Parasite. That's going to screw with his farm and his ability to gank this bottom lane. The issue is Kraken can pretty much do this. In a 1v3 situation, he's not going to be having a lot of fun, but he can actually do okay, except for he might be dead here now, as he can take a lot of damage. Yep, he's definitely going to fall, and that's not exactly what you wanted to have happen. So the tri-lane here from the Hellborn side, off to a very good start already, and I would in fact expect them to switch this up a little bit and send at least one hero to the top lane to help out Jonathan on this Blood Hunter, go up against the Geomancer, because you can certainly understand Geomancer winning this lane with his Earth's Grasp, putting the auto attacks here into Blood Hunter, and if he just spams that E-spell, then BH could have some issues even with his Feast healing him back up. Geomancer just such a strong laner with Earth's Grasp, and the continuous damage that BH is going to take from that is going to really, really be a problem if he doesn't get some help, presumably from the Aluna. And, I mean, there's just no reason for there to be dual supports in this bottom lane. Actually, Blood Hunter could be in a lot of trouble here. Gets the Feast back up, but Geo continuing to just pound in these right clicks. We'll take a mana pot as well. And I wouldn't be surprised to see I Love Sonya on the Suicide Geomancer win this lane. And this is, like I said, during the initial bit, actually, no, Kolak missed that entirely. He gets the Lava Surge as the YOLO train finishes him off on the Pharaoh. So nice rotation there from the dual supports on the Hellborn team. Top lane Bloodhunter will be silencing out Geomancer, really not doing all that much though. And I want to just finish the thought on him. This is really why I like this hero so much, is his harassment potential with that Earth's Grasp. And then he's got the Dig, of course, for the initiation or getaway, depending on what he needs. He really has the potential to harass out and even kill a lot of opposing short laners, especially in 1v1 situations. You can see him just annoying the crap out of Jonathan here. He's not actually getting too much in terms of CS. His bottom lane Kraken gonna fall once again. Combination roams as they need wards. They got at this ward of sight that must have seen the supports rotating to the bottom lane, and for some reason they didn't see that coming quickly enough to save Kraken. I don't know how. Maybe Kraken just playing too far up, but currently sitting at 54 GPM. Just an awful early situation here for this Kraken. Cal Crapula 350 gold per minute, and he could actually be just fine in a 1v1, so this could be an effectively suicide Puppet Master with just continuously roaming supports on the Hellborn team. And that appears to be their plan, as they're heading middle once again. Ward of Sight should spot out the rotation, though. And Pebbles could be in some trouble. Torture going to come back to the middle lane and perhaps help him out a little bit. Illusion Runes up on Aluna as well. And they definitely want this initiation. Magnus and Aluna hanging out here a little bit. You can also see Parasite coming in from the side and stacking the Ancients. Ward of Sight spots out the two supports, and Pebbles actually is going to die here anyway. They have perfect vision of what's going down. The Stalagmites do connect onto Magnus. It's not going to matter, though. He's going to get the Lava Surge. They toss away the Pharaoh, and in fact, they don't get the Lava Surge. Magnus not choosing to go for it. Doesn't have a lot of mana, but both Pebbles' spells were down, so I feel like they probably should have taken that attempt to kill. At the very least, gotten Pebbles lower and try to get him out of this lane. Instead, he's going to come right back in and look for a counter kill onto this Pharaoh. He won't find it, but going to provide a bit of a nuisance. Pharaoh Rocket actually doesn't cancel the mana potion from Torture. It's a bit of a problem. He definitely had the radius to get the mana pot as well as the creep kills and the harassment damage. Bit problematic. Bottom lane Kraken could be in some trouble, as once again the supports have rotated down here. So I talked about it during the draft, but HoN really becoming a more gank-oriented and early snowball-oriented game. And this is something that Sync Esports has actually stressed a lot, especially in Sania, saying that they really feel that jungle lineups are not necessarily the auto-win or the far superior strategy that has been considered the case for really the last year plus, ever since SG really said, basically, yeah, we're going to run junglers every single game, because we basically have to. There's a prisoner's dilemma, essentially, where if you don't run a jungler, then you're at a disadvantage, so you have to run a jungler, and then if the other team doesn't run a jungler against your jungler, they're at a disadvantage, so they have to run a jungler. And the game theory worked out to both teams basically have to run junglers every single game. As actually counter ward going to come through, and actually here comes Parasite with the Catman. This could be some trouble. Magnus getting the Stalagmites, or this Lava Surge onto Pebbles. It's still going to be a death for this Aluna as he gets completely trapped out and killed. So first counter kill going the way of Zenzyg in this early laning phase. And actually, you could see Magnus falling here as well. He's got a Lava Surge. He needs to go over the cliff, though. Don't understand why he took that route. Pretty sure he could have gotten away. At least stunned into the trees and dropped a or a Steam Bath or something. But top lane, I love Sonya on the Geomancer. Eventually does fall. Hemorrhage was used there along with a Silence from Bloodhunter. So likely the combination of those two abilities. Geomancer just couldn't handle it, and he's actually having a pretty suffer time. This top lane, 110 gold per minute for him compared to 370 for Jonathan. Middle lane Pharaoh will be caught out, but putting the walls up onto the Pebbles, and that's not going to be enough. Actually misses the hook, and he's just going to be able to get walked down. Taking the bottle sips. Hellflower doing actually a lot, and he could possibly get out of this. He's going to have another Muggle Walls back up in a second. Needs to drop it, yep, and we'll get the deny off. Skirt just on out of there. And well played to YOLO Train, managing to survive that Hellfire doing a lot. It's actually only currently level 1 too, so not even all that good. And he's going to get denied. 24-second respawn timer. He didn't buy out either, so that was weird. Anyway, Crystal Field right on Aluna's face. That's going to blow up and do a lot of damage. Stalagmites are there as well. No way Aluna gets out of that one. Pretty easy kill going the way of Zenzyg right there. In the bottom lane, meantime, Kraken going to get jumped on by the Puppet and the Magnus. That's another easy kill, as Puppet Master has his ultimate. not a problem to clean that one up, and Pebble's going to have to time this very well. Actually, he's invis, so no he doesn't. He can just drop the toss, and that's a pretty easy victory. So Wazo, 340 GPM, and doing much better than Yellow Train did in the last game on his Pebbles. And wouldn't be surprised to see him get another kill here as he tosses the Puppet onto the Parasite. And we'll see if they can actually get anything out of this. Puppet Show goes through onto the Parasite. They need another auto attack, but actually Puppet should be able to skirt away from this as Magnus is coming in with a Lava Surge. Nothing more to do on the Legion side. Magnus looking for the stun as here comes the Pharaoh as well. Going to get the hook onto Pebbles. That's a pretty easy kill. Kraken coming in to counter. Only level 5 though, so no ultimate for him. Similar situation for Parasite. And they cannot save their Pebbles, so sad times there. Top lane, meanwhile, Geomancer and actually Bloodhunter going at it, and Bloodhunter wins that battle, gets his health back, and therefore does not die to the tower. So, bit of a greedy play there from Jonathan, but it pays off, and he gets the victory. Bottom lane, meanwhile, once again, this Kraken going to get jumped on. Pharaoh looking for the mummy walls, can't find them, going to push away Pebbles and prevent him from jumping anybody. Not that he has a portal key. So really didn't have the range to do it anyway, but Wazo put into the bottom lane to help out Kraken, make sure he didn't die. Successfully accomplishes that mission, but his farm has since dropped. And you look at this game, it's looking a lot like game 1. And in all honesty, 475 GPM for Bloodhunter in the top lane, 450 for a Puppet Master. The only one on the Legion side doing well is the Pebbles. He's going to die here once again as he drops his combo, but it's not going to be enough. Hellfire actually not doing a lot as he's getting Pharaoh getting blocked out by his own illusions. Lava Surge from Magnus not available for another 5 mana. It's off cooldown, but they're going to need to do something to stop this Pebbles from getting away. He's got another Stalagmites. Level 6 on Kraken means that he's got his ultimate, but Pebbles just going to sacrifice himself as he runs into the trees. Blood Sense giving them plenty of vision. Going to get the combo out, but not nearly enough, of course, as Ganal on the Luna picks up the last auto attack. 8-4 hero kill advantage here for TZP. They have 2 very strong farmers. Look at the Legion side. They have no strong farmers, just one having even decent farm. Everybody else suffering extremely hard. And once again, the late game potential on the side of TZP. So both teams in one game going for a very, very mid-game oriented lineup. Both teams losing their lanes really, really hard on that mid-game oriented lineup. And the other team turning a mid-game / late-game oriented lineup into what could very possibly be another early victory. As just like TZP in Game 1, Zenzyg have dug themselves quite a hole. Obviously, as in Game 1, it is possible for them to climb out. It's just difficult to see the pathway. They're going to need a portal key on this Pebbles ASAP. They need to prioritize his farm so that he can start turning that PK into kills, especially on the Puppet Master and Bloodhunter, neither of whom are particularly tanky at this point. Bloodhunter does have nearly 1,000 health and vestments. But you look at the Puppet Master, currently sitting on int treads, still only 750 health, actually, as they will get the jump on the Bloodhunter, but here comes the counter from Pharaoh with the hook. Pharaoh, in fact, going to be trading his life. Crystal Field goes down, and that's definitely going to be a kill. So Yellow Train says, take me, take me. Bloodhunter will be able to get on out of there as he saves his carry, so that's just fine. And Pharaoh, obviously, another hero that doesn't need all that much farm, so him at 245 GPM is fine. Obviously, he'd like to have more, but he can survive just fine with that. Luna, nice dodge on the Stalagmite. Still going to get chucked back in. 2-man stun, but the dig is there, and Ganal going to end up dying. So very nicely played from Ganal, but the problem being that Luna's just not all that tanky, not all that good at getting away, especially without Deja Vu, which she doesn't have because she's only level 4, and has elected to get 2 points in both Power Throw and the stun. So, sad times for Ganal. Good play, unfortunately wasted, but I still think he can feel good about where he and his team are in this game. Ward of Sight in the bottom lane, not spotting out the Kraken because that's his. And speaking of the warding situation in general, Legion side have 2. They have that one and this one in the mid-river. Hellborn have this one Word of Sight and a Word of Rev, spotting out any potential rune wards from the Legion team, which they don't have. And this camp is once again blocked as Bloodhunter puts on the silence onto Parasite, teleports away, figuring he wants no part of that fight. And that's probably good policy, as the Legion side had plenty of backup in the vicinity with Kraken and Geomancer hanging around next to Parasite. Pharaoh Rocket will spot out the Torturer up this hill, as the Hellborn actually drop a pretty deep Ward of Sight right next to the Legion ward, and they should be well aware of that ward's location. Should be pretty easy to counter as well with the dual support options. And middle lane, there goes the jump on Pharaoh once again. Will be chucked back, and we'll see if he can actually get anything out of this. Pharaoh did drop his ultimate right there. Mummy Walls go through as well, but there's no way Yellow Train surviving as 5 heroes collapse on him. In fact, as Wazoo gets the kill, 4 assists, and not something you see a whole lot, where every single member of a team has a hand in a kill, but that was the case in this situation, and they may be turning this into a Tier 1 tower push, so remember that hole that TZP are in? This is going to do a lot to help them get out of it, as they're down 4,500 gold. But this tower kill will make up a lot of that difference. Puppet Master with an early Shroud. Looking to come in here, but a Word of Revelation actually spots him out. He's going to get stunned by 2 heroes, and there's the Crystal Field as well. Easy kill on Cal Crapula, though. There's a counter on a Kolak. Mex still going to die on the Magma before he can do too much of anything. Wazo's Pebbles actually might survive here. Blood Sense is still there, but finally going to get chased down and killed as the silence goes through. Going to try to deny him, not going to be successful. Here comes Geomancer. Lots of auto attacks, no mana left on the Geo. He's going to get chased down by Bloodhunter and killed. Going to try to deny himself. The creep's not going to happen. Meanwhile, here comes Parasite running away. Hellfire, not enough though. Rocket does get the kill. And Invis, Kraken, as well as Torturer, the only survivors from that engagement. Actually, no. Kolak died? Yes, the Kolak did die in the Torturer, so that's a 4 for 1, as they end up killing the Puppet Master, but the jump into the Hellborn Woods, not the greatest plan. And the comeback that Zenzyg were looking for right there, with a nice pick on to Pharaoh into a Tier 1 tower kill middle, is not going to happen. No Hemorrhage available for Bloodhunter, so can't find the Kraken. And he's just going to go ahead and eat a Vagamon later in exchange. Speaking of Tier 1 tower kills middle, Pharaoh working on it, and he's going to be opposed by 3 Legion heroes. Portakeel available on the Pebbles, and that's going to be noticed now by Pharaoh as he gets chopped back in and charged into the clip and killed by I'm a Cake thanks to his leech. Speaking of I'm a Cake, still only 240 GPM for this Parasite. He's working on this puzzle box and will have it relatively quickly. Once this tower goes down, that'll be sufficient gold, especially since he got the kill. Also sitting on just the red boots though, so might be looking to build up some Striders here, or perhaps a pair of Ghost Marchers now that his puzzle box is completed. Meanwhile, Torture going to drop a really deep Ward of Sight here that's immediately going to be countered, as Aluna's like, I know exactly what you're doing down there, buddy. Meantime, they actually will catch Puppet Master out, but they don't know it because he's invisible, so they think that he just got away. And now he has no teleport. He still has a Shroud back up in about 5 seconds, though, so hopefully he'll be able to walk this off. Aluna, gonna throw the stun onto Kraken. Kraken obviously no portal key himself. Chain reactions do not connect, and there's the Mummy Walls. Hemorrhage not gonna do too much as Kraken can't move, but he's still gonna die here. No crowd, and Torture just barely gets away with the teleport. So it's gonna be 1 for nothing as a couple of TPs be used, and there, Puppet Master picking up Pebbles in the woods as well. So 2 more hero kills going the way of TZP. Geo gonna dig into the woods and presumably teleport on out of there. He has a TP available, but maybe he doesn't want to use it. There's absolutely no backup here, and 3 heroes for the Hellborn team, so I don't know what he thinks he's going to do, if anything. But I suppose he's not in too much actual danger. And Geomancer will eventually just pour it out, so wasting a bit of time there, but I guess this team, considering whether or not they could actually get a pick off, realizing they really couldn't, they don't want to engage on 3 heroes, and that was definitely the smart call. So, strategies for Zenzyg. How do they come back out of this? Well, they got the Pebbles PK. They need to get some pick-offs. And they need to do some other things that don't start with the letter P, so I don't develop a stutter. Ideal targets, not Bloodhunter. 1400 health, vestments, not a good target. Puppet Master, no vestments, 872 health, presumably on int treads, yes. Has been consistently farming on int treads, has the Shroud, but that's definitely something that they can deal with, especially with Pebbles' portal key. And Pebbles should be able to combo him very easily and kill him. So Pebbles needs to be looking around everywhere to try to find jumps and kills under this puppet. They need to get some aggressive wards up in the Hellborn Woods and see if they can find him. Stun does hit the Blood Hunter, but I don't know if they actually have enough damage for this. He's going to get charged, but right back into his friends. There goes the Kraken ultimate as well. Crystal Field hits onto 2, and we'll see if Magnus can do anything. No, Chuck does end up finishing off Jonathan, but predictable on the Kraken. Going to be the counter kill. Parasite getting inside of the Wizard. He should be okay for the meantime, but Hasted Pharaoh actually looking for a Mummy Wall setup. Not going to find it as Geomancer digs back in, but doesn't hit anybody. Puppet Master throwing in the autos. Aluna will die, but Pebble's going to pay for that. As we'll see if Geomancer can get out of this. No, he pretty much can't. They know exactly where he went. There's the Hellfire, and that'll be yet another kill. Strings onto the Parasite. He's looking to try to get into some of the creeps, but he's got 5 seconds left on the Infest. Nice stun from Torture, who's going to try to get away, but he's going to be stunned out by Magnus and killed. Pharaoh has no ultimate, so they can't chase down the Parasite, as Torture trades his life for one of his cores. So a good decision by Torture, but yet another 4-for-1 wipe in favor of TZP. And really, those two counter-engagements, as a result of the Legion's aggression, their counter-initiation has been fantastic. They've had 2 separate fights now like that, where the Legion's like, I'm going to go kill all of you, and then they end up losing 4 heroes and killing only the 1. Now, that was a better one, I think, because they'd rather slow down the Blood Hunter than the Puppet. Maybe not, actually. It's either way. They did kill something valuable, but really sacrificed far too much for it. And that's not the entire reason that the TZP have the lead that they do, because 10,500 gold is more than just 2 engagements like that. But it's the reason for the hero kill differential, for sure. So you have to think about where Zenzyg would be if they weren't taking fights like that, and I think it's definitely the case that they weren't really good ideas from an objective perspective. I mean, they have burst damage. If you don't get the kill and get out, you're going to be turned on by this Hellborn team that has CC. I mean, they got a Magma stun, they've got an Aluna stun, they have 2 CC tools from the Puppet Master, they have a Silence from Blood Hunter, as well as another Wrath of the Pharaoh, and the Mummy Walls from Pharaoh, and potentially even his Hellfire that can do a lot to slow heroes down. So it's not like the Hellborn team doesn't have ways of stopping you, keeping you in place, and then actually doing a fair bit of damage and killing you. They definitely have all the potential to do that. So if you're not going to get these kills and then leave, you really are misplaying your lineup. And that was definitely the case in that situation. They also had no vision of that. I mean, you can see the Legion have no vision of the Hellborn Woods right now. And they really don't have very many aggressive wards at all. In fact, the only wards they have are this ward of Rev on top of the shrine. So what's a Pebble supposed to do in this situation? What's a Parasite supposed to do in this situation? How are they supposed to be impactful? They simply can't, because they don't have the vision to make use of their abilities and their items. And actually, Pebble's going to jump on top of this Pharaoh, but once again, he's going to get counter-jumped as the Puppet ultimate comes through. Dig and Crystal Field on the face of, who is that even? Magnus, but that's not going to be enough. Finally, they managed to pick off YOLO Train, but in the meantime, 2 other heroes in Legion side have died. Kraken, going to drop the release of Kraken right onto Blood Hunter's head, but that's not going to be enough. He's trying to run away, but the Blood Sense should be active. Stun out will stop the teleport, and up top, Parasite's going to get away. So, stop me if you've heard this before, but the Legion side initiated a fight, as they in fact CC, and that's not unreasonable in that situation, but 3 separate times Team Zenzyg initiated a fight. They got too aggressive with it. They lost one. They killed 1 hero. Not always the one they were going for, but I believe in that last situation they didn't. They just got the Aluna or something like that. They got the 1 hero and then lose 4 others. I mean, how many times does that have to happen before you realize it's not a good strategy? And Zenzyg, I would have hoped, would have realized that a little faster than they did, and instead they sort of just keep banging their heads against the wall and end up taking a relatively quick loss, sub 20 minutes. So 2 quick games in the series going in opposite directions, and that means we're headed to a game 3. So this losers bracket round 2 matchup will result in both teams given the opportunity to move on, and both teams with the potential to get knocked out here. Who will it be? Who knows? But we'll be moving on to game 2 in just a moment, so stick around, guys.